Welcome everybody to the Cha Rule Show. Cup of coffee with Charles. Ask any and all questions. Here to help enlighten and make everybody's day a little better if I can, with some enjoyment of being goofy and somewhat knowledgeable. I hope everybody's doing well out there today. This Friday, it's a beautiful Friday here. A little hot, but user 336. Yeah, I'm glad you caught me at the beginning. Yeah, so I plans. I have a call. Someone called me and I helped them out for only like 5 minutes. I told them to call me back on my website, and this is another person that gets misled from misinformation that's put out there on TikTok. And she most apparently listened to Bree Divine, whose account is now banned or blocked or gone or whatever, I believe, because she was trying to sell classes to teach taxes, and she was actually telling people that all you have to do is tell the IRS that you are a human and you won't be taxed anymore. And that's how she was living her life for 3 years. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, that's going to catch up to you real quick. So anyway, this girl called me and I told her, the basic brutal truth, which is, we're not taught any of these things, but if you're going to be engaged in a for-profit system in a federal zone, you're going to have a tax liability. And she's like, oh my gosh, do I have to start, saving up all this money and stuff? I'm like, no, you can contact the IRS and set up a payment plan. It is what it is. The same thing with my straw man. If it's engaged in a for-profit system, then there's a tax liability. If you're engaged in not-for-profit, or you're engaged in gifting and bartering and trading and donating and all that stuff, if it depends on what you're using, as a medium of exchange, but typically everybody wants Federal Reserve notes. So I finally accepted my destiny. I'm going to be stuck with fuzzy towel lint for forever. So I bought some cheap Walmart towels, and blue fuzz is everywhere. I don't even know how it's getting in places that it is. It is everywhere. I ended up finally throwing those away, went to At Home, got some expensive blue towels, and it's still fuzzy. It's like, literally, I get out the shower, I dry off, and then I need to shower again because I've got like blue fibers all over me and everywhere. So I just can't avoid it. I've washed them. It's just, I accept that I am now going to be a linty man, I guess, for the rest of my days. I'll just have to walk this earth as a lint ball and have fibers in places that I prefer not to have them. All right, so thanks for the sharing of the live. Espresso God, very interesting. I just also summoned in the beginning, I shall stay. Awesome, heck yeah. I prefer precious metal as payment. That is absolutely a wonderful way. And I actually need to message somebody on my last video, which actually just got banned. And I don't know if it was because my handler was sleeping or there was a shift change or whatever, but it went live unbanned for about 20 hours. So I was pretty pleased that my video at least went out that long before it got banned from people's For You page. And TikTok, we have a very weird relationship. They'll ban me for random weird things, and then I have to appeal it, and then they never accept it, and then it just, it piddles out and whatever. But some videos, they boost. Like I'll get now, I used to get 50, 60, 100,000 views. Now I'll get 1,000, and that's my average, and if I'm lucky, I'll get more. But I put out DTC1, and it was doing normal, as normal, heading towards 1,000, and then just randomly got a boost, and then just went out to 12, 13,000. I don't know what my handler is thinking or why they choose to pick certain videos and allow them to go out to people or not. But so when referring to precious metals, somebody messaged on my video talking about using gold and silver, and what I like to do as a preference whenever I'm bartering or trading or dealing in gold and silver is it depends on how you purchased it, acquired it, or got it, right? If it was gifted to you, you're good. If you did some work and it was exchanged to you, you're good. If you use Federal Reserve notes, the U.S. could, quote unquote, claim that they have an interest in it. And I always tell everybody, I think it's the funniest thing on earth that you can actually acquire gold and silver with fiat currency, because that's actual money of substance. And I just think it's really, really funny. Espresso God, whereas being your own bank cannot. Correct. Espresso, someone I know just got their entire investment portfolio hacked and stolen, and a whopping $500,000. Daggone, yeah, that sucks, man. I actually just watched a video on that, and I put off watching this video, or movie, sorry, this is a movie. It's called The Beekeeper, and He was a retired ops, special ops. This entity was outside of all different jurisdictions. It was outside of the FBI, CIA, out of the United States jurisdiction. It was a special ops team, and the whole group is called Beehive or Beekeeper, and what their goal is to keep everything in check. They have unlimited funds and access to all kinds of things, but they're outside of everything. And when the premise of the movie, his friend in the beginning, just looks like a beekeeper. I didn't know what it was about, so that's why I didn't want to watch it. I'm like, who wants to watch about a beekeeper? But I kind of like Jason Statham, so anyway, started going in. And his friend was actually who used to be Bill Cosby's wife on that show. Her account got hacked, and the whole movie was about hackers, about tricking old people out of their money, how to get them to click on, the ransomware, and they were wiping out everybody's accounts. And it turns out that in the movie, the president's son was actually the head of the snake of all that. And it's a pretty decent movie. I wouldn't watch it again on my own, but but it was all about that. It was about people hacking into people's accounts and taking all of their digital money, because all of the currency that we call money today is actually just digital logged books and records on screens. It's not actually really funds. Espresso God, I acquire en masse completely under the table. Awesome. That is the best way to go, man. Or girl, sorry. You are, well, I guess you'd say goddess if it was a girl. So that's very honorable, best way to acquire things. And that's how I actually acquired the race or res. Some people say race or res. The race for a trust, I started with gold that I acquired from somebody donating it for me for digging a post hole, and then so they exchanged it for my labor. I got the gold, and then I used that for the race for starting a sovereign trust that's outside of U.S. jurisdiction. And that's like a really honorable, great way in order to start a trust. And I've been around a lot of legal stuff. I've been around a lot of different entities being created. And I used to watch, when my early studies, I would watch these trusts get formed, and they would put $10 US in it. And I'm just like, oh, you're just giving up jurisdiction right off the bat with the race, with the race, because a trust has to have a purpose, property, and for an express trust, and has to have all three of the parties identified. Espresso God, I consider myself more of a collector, though. Yeah, that's awesome. There's a balance to everything, but I would always suggest never putting everything in one basket, and then at the end of the day, there's a reason the way things are the way they are. And if you look at the commodity-backed stuff, like gold and silver, there is a finite amount. So if you get into an airplane and you look at all the millions of buildings and all the things and infrastructure that has been put, if they were using just gold, a lot of that stuff wouldn't be there, because there's just not enough of it. So, but what happens with power is greed ends up taking over, and that's why the IRS taxes heavily on a for-profit system, because people like hiding money. And when you're not engaged in for-profit, it's a much more honorable, harmonious system, and that's why they don't tax you as much. So, but when you're dealing in the fiat currency, what can end up happening, or when you deal with gold, what can end up happening is if you want to eat, let's just say you want to eat and you want to barter, and you only have a donkey, and like the farmer is like, when you're trying to trade and exchange a donkey for food, what's it worth? Is it worth 2 ears of corn and depending on how starving you are, do you cut the donkey in half if you only want, a cheeseburger, or do you, give the whole thing up and say the farmer owes you some, or, and the chattel charter paper started mainly because of sinking ships. When ships would try to do transatlantic voyages and they would sink with all the gold, they decided, or it would get pirated, pirates would take over the ship and start stealing all the loot. They just decided that it would be a lot better to have the bill of lading, which basically is as good as the gold. So they would send the paper across the waters and saying that there is gold on land over here, and this is the title to it. And it was safer and easier if the paper got lost or whatever, or stolen and plundered, you could make another piece of paper. Well, guess what? That's what they're doing now with the fiat Federal Reserve System, is just printing unlimited, although everything is ended up being backed by humans, which is the underwriter for the U.S. citizen, the authorized representative. Um, yeah, it is a great film, Espresso. I'm glad you've seen it too, Mizzani Zero. Espresso God, digitalization is a fool's game unless you back yourself, which less than 1% of the U.S. does. Yeah, I agree. And I think that if I'm not mistaken, the Basel IV compliance, which is actually Basel 3.5, is going to be implemented, and they're trying to shoot for 2028, or that everything has to be, all banks have to be backed by some form of asset. So stuff's going to start getting wild within the next few years, because when you start dealing with the U.S. Federal Reserve, which is the world's reserve currency, and you start changing that, a lot of stuff's going to be different. My dad seems to think that the only purpose for the whole digitalization is so that they can track and monitor more things, because right now the U.S. Federal Reserve note says for public and private, so you can do stuff in the private. And what happens whenever you're dealing, like, banks are really good at categorizing. When I do taxes, I can just import stuff and it categorizes everything. Even on one of my credit cards, it just shows everything in split. It says this is for shopping, this is for traveling, this is for entertainment. It like breaks everything down. Whenever you take out funds, it'll show it. It'll say withdrew $200. So the bank knows and is reporting that money was taken out, but then they don't know where it goes or what happens to it. And that's what they're trying to prevent. And I have heard that the digitalization of all currency would prevent a lot of child trafficking, like immediately, overnight. But again, when you're dealing with sovereigns, there's unlimited power, capacity, and potential, which we all are, and people always find a way in and out of things. And that's what happens with why there will never, ever be enough codes, laws, and statutes. They will continue to make them. And it can never be satisfied. And that's why contract is the kind of boxing in the guidelines and rails for two sovereigns when they want to contract with each other. They make up terms and conditions and guidelines to try to basically have two sovereigns interacting with each other. So let's see, especially less than 1% own precious metals. Yeah, it's not a lot, but when you looked at commodity-backed things, it can be anything. The same thing when you try to barter or trade when you're outside of the Federal Reserve System, because you get to control what you create. And if you didn't create the Federal Reserve note, then you have to abide by the games or the rules of the game that you're playing in. So when you're dealing in commodities, you can barter in oil, you can barter in precious metals, cotton fibers, you can barter in labor, you can barter in all this stuff, and you just have to be careful when you're dealing in games. And this is one of the most unfortunate, hardest pills to swallow, is when it's a maxim in law that says that if you're going to be engaged in commerce, you are presumed to know what you are doing, okay? And we get ourselves engaged in all of this stuff all the time, like carrying Federal Reserve notes, like signing promissory notes, like dealing in securities or stuff like that. And we have no clue, and we're not taught it for a reason. And that's how the systems are established and designed, so that we're not understanding. And that's how they keep their thumb on everybody's pulses and keeps everybody down, running on the hamster wheel, creating capital, creating minions. Or basically fostering in capital, creating minions, so that we can continue to work 9 to 5 and basically till we run into the ground. And it just is what it is. So I hope everybody is enjoying today's beautiful weather and wherever you're at. Appreciate you coming on the live. This live will be on, the video will be on YouTube. My audio will be in my Telegram group. I have social media links all on my profile page that is linked on my website on TikTok. You can watch my playlist to help re-educate you. You can browse around on my website. It has auxiliary information to help enlighten you on all your paths, depending on if you want to learn about nature, spirit, or commerce. And you spend some time and effort if you want. Like I said, you can spend the rest of your life just studying nature. You can spend the rest of your life studying spiritual stuff. That is the highest form, which I suggest. Spirit is the substance of everything. Nature is just the form. and commerce is the exchange of anything and all things in between. So it depends on which path you want to learn about. Most people only care about money, because that's what compels everybody. And the system is somewhat harmonious on a very large scale when you're able to see the forest through the trees. If you look at it, it kind of forces people to be productive in society, okay? And this is the same reason why you have to sign an NDA if you go through the DTC, because the system has been established for a reason, and you will crush the entire economy if you tell everybody they don't have to work anymore, because then all of a sudden nobody would be doing anything. Now, granted, back in the day, we used to do a lot more production with farming and being much more knowledgeable on how to use tools and do woodworking and all, sheet metal and painting and welding. All of these trades all across the world are losing knowledge because nobody wants to get their hands dirty. Nobody wants to do anything. Everybody's lazy. We are basically flesh bags of water with electrical impulses, and electricity and water wants to find the path of least resistance. So we're typically, by nature, very lazy animals. And the system kind of forces people to get out of bed because, you have to, the bills keep going. The bills keep coming. And it just, we're not taught about money for a reason. We're not taught about trust or banking or how taxes work or none of that stuff. So, Espresso, smart man, thank you. Espresso, everything we do is contract. Absolutely. Every movement, every second, everything you say, it's all about contracts. Mazzini, you are very welcome for the information. I give freely, continuously. I answer emails, texts, phone calls. You can DM me, you can write me. I will eventually, it might take a few days, but I'll eventually answer any and all and everything. Same thing on this live. You could ask anything. You could say anything. I've very rarely had to boot. I think in the last year I've had to boot off like 2 people. And it was just because somebody was being vulgar and talking trash to somebody and just kind of had to go. So, Espresso, for all that you do, you put your profits into this gold, Volcker of the Federal Reserve. Who? You talking about people? User 336, if you have the spirit, you won't know how to keep money even if you get it. Yeah, well, if you start reading Proverbs, it'll tell you right there that if you take wisdom of the Lord higher than any precious metal, gold, jewelry, or jewels or anything on this earth. It is the most important and valuable thing ever, because the spirit is what animates this flesh body frame. It is basically the substance behind the form, and it's a little more active in people that are unlearned while you sleep, when you close your eyes and you become unconscious. But your spiritual body, investing in that's basically what knowledge is. You put it in places where moth does not corrupt or rust does not corrupt, and that's what it says in the Bible, and that's talking about knowledge. And we take this knowledge with us, and that's why in one of my first videos I let everybody know that as a fractal of the Creator, every single second you are the past, present, and future, okay? Because you carry with you all of the knowledge and experience that you've ever had. You bring that forward with you. You are here right now living this second, and then every second you're also thinking about the next thing, like moving your finger or doing this or that. Of course, the subconscious does have some play in, like your blinking heart and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, you are continuously nonstop, the past, present, and future. At every second, you are the beginning, middle, and end, always. And that's why when you look at the true spiritual journey of becoming one with the creators, that's what it's all about. And the controllers of the natural light and natural realm have been given authority and jurisdiction and ability to deceive everybody greatly on a vast range. And it is so easy to be deceived and be caught off guard and off track, and we're tested continuously. But it is very easy to forget about the spiritual stuff, and most people don't want to learn about the spiritual stuff. Money can be spiritual, Espresso, if you're talking about the Federal Reserve notes, only because it binds people's bodies, and which also binds their spirit, because they don't. Most people don't even know about the spiritual stuff. So money can be a spiritual thing, but on my triangle, it's neutral. It's commercial. It's neutral. You can do good or bad with it. It's up to you. You know, you could buy a homeless shelter for a family if they need it. You could warm somebody up. You could hire it to do mercenary work. You could do all kinds of stuff. Black Swan, what is up, man? I was almost getting ready to text you because I found some additional documentation, and it was surprising. It was actually kind of lining up with what Jack and you clearly have seen from my last videos. Well, my last one actually just got banned, but I've been re-listening to those audios, and that's you know, from what's going on with the last few videos I've released. But somebody sent me some stuff which lines up somewhat with what Jack was saying, and I think that there are some you know, a couple things I wanted to bounce off of you or whatever. But anyway, I didn't know how or where you were in that journey, because like the audio files are endless. They are endless. Yeah, it's not easy. You know, like I said, there are societies that are taught all this stuff from the very beginning. It's very easy. It's like day 7. They're like, oh, cool, yeah, I get to go ahead and just cash in this bond, you know. But when you're trying to learn it from the outside, it's tough. It's a lot harder, and it's made that way for a reason, you know, because they don't want it. It's the private knowledge, and people can't handle assets. So it's some tough stuff to wander through. Oh, Paul Volcker? I don't know who that is, Espresso. I'd have to look into that. That's the quote from the ex-Fed chairman. Okay, I should have just read your previous message and would have told me that's who that is. So the previous chair, he said that money is spiritual? Or did he say that Volcker? Okay, for all that you do, you put your profits into this. Volcker of the Federal. Yeah, so most people, and that's what I said in some of my foundational videos of commerce, you know, most people get up and work and slave their lives away for this worthless Federal Reserve note that is backed by nothing but a promise to pay one day, you know. Although ultimately in the private it is underwritten from humans working in their commercial private BC estates and all that. But in the public, this Federal Reserve note, yeah, it's just a promise to pay, and people kill for it. They steal, they prosy for it. They do all this stuff for this money that keeps everybody in lock and keeps everybody in lockstep and keeps everybody asleep, you know. And that's how the system is set up for a reason. There's a balance, and through education, through knowledge, through training, through dedication, you can make it through all of that jazz and be able to come out on the other side and be able to see that, hey, the system is somewhat harmonious on a very, very large picture. Yes, some people are evil, but a lot of people are good. We all inherently have good intentions for us, and we have empathy and stuff like that. But there are some people out there that are being controlled by some things that just, yeah, they ain't, Orlin, I'm glad that you love my perspective. The hash-slinging slasher and finding hidden knowledge in the Bible. I have so much information about hidden knowledge in the Bible on the natural, spiritual, and commercial level. It is my favorite law book. It is very intense. I am not very well studied in the Quran or in Kabbalah or in a lot of these other things, but when it comes to the Holy Bible, I've got some good foundation on that. And there's a reason for that, because I was locked up for 3 years and I read the dog mess out of it. So I have a lot of information and knowledge that a lot of people don't have that kind of time on their hands. So Espresso, that a quote from Megs, Paul Blocker, be able to foresee, Espresso, to be able to foresee and make up provision. Yeah. Well, so the people that created those systems, they usually plan like 100 years ahead and on a high level, big scheme, right? But then in the finite, they usually plan five years or so ahead to be able to set things up, which most people don't even plan, you know, 3 days in advance. So when people that are controlling all the systems, the people that control the big corporations at the top of this pyramid, when they're able to set down rules and it flows downhill, and the people below them are just taking orders, like they're all compartmentalized and they don't know what the people above them are doing and they're just taking orders, and that trickles down and down and down and down. And I don't know if y'all have ever played that game, like I said on one of my other lives, where I think it's called Telephone, where you say a phrase to the person to your right and then they say the phrase to right, and then it just goes all the way around, and then when it comes back it sounds nothing like what was originally told. And that's kind of the same thing that happens with these compartmentalized ignorant, and I say ignorance because it means just lack of knowledge, but people that just are compartmentalized and don't have any clue or care about anything other than working their 9 to 5, and they're probably even miserable in that job, just doing what they got to do to make ends meet. Precious metal is spiritual, is what I meant. Okay, precious metal is so. In my studies, and if you've ever, I don't know if you've just met me or just accidentally copped on here, but in my studies, I reveal the 3 different lights that we are all tied together in. We're tied together in the natural light, we're tied together in the spiritual light, and we're tied together in the commercial light. And they shine light on all of our 3 different bodies and everything that we interact and do. And the gold and silver is in the temporary realm in the natural light. Okay, it is something that you can use, right? You can do spiritual work with almost anything. Even in the Bible, when you look at a lot of the old proverbs and stuff like that, there were evil people that were used to do good stuff all the time, and it's just because we're all basically fractals of the Creator in this game. And the rulers of the natural realm have been given authority and granted provisions to be able to do certain things in this temporary realm to keep us out of the garden, to be able to keep us away from being able to reach one with the Creator. Jerry, thank you so much for the rose. Your gifts will be used to help others. I do very much appreciate that. Guys, this live will be on YouTube. The audio will be in my Telegram group. I have videos to help re-educate everybody. All my social media is linked on my profile page on my website of TikTok. You just scroll down a little bit. Espresso God, I only consider the true form of money to be gold and silver. That is I agree with you on a commercial level for operating outside of the some of the matrices. That is a very good way to barter and exchange. Okay, now again, if you bought that stuff with Federal Reserve notes, the U.S. could claim some jurisdiction or interest in it if the rubber met the road and it came down to it or whatever. But you can use almost anything to barter, trade, and exchange for, and you can create your own currency as a sovereign on this earth. And what I've actually done is I've even when I acquired, this is how far I went when I was creating a sovereign trust. I earned the gold from doing labor and then bartered and exchanged it. I got the gold, I melted it, beat it up, and then formed it into my own thing, and then put my insignia on it. Okay. And then I used that for the race, for the trust. And that's how I started the trust. So it's like, it's covered on all ends. So, Espresso, the only forms of money that cannot be entirely destroyed, only recycled. Yeah, gold is, it doesn't really rust. That's one of the cool things about gold and silver. Some of these things tarnish, and I think there's, what happens to aluminum that, there's like a form of rust for aluminum that's oxidization. It gets oxidized. That's like a form of, it's kind of like the equivalent of rust on steel. But there's a very clear slight oxidation that happens on gold and silver that's like, that's why you have to end up eventually rubbing off contacts and stuff like that on certain boards and stuff, because there is a very thin, it's like a clear oxidation that can happen on these precious metals. But yeah, gold is it's in our bodies, silver's in our bodies, and it's a very beautiful element. They really are. But they are in the temporary realm, and like I said in Proverbs, it says, hold the knowledge of the creators higher than anything, as any form of money, because and that's what I liked. I liked gathering that. When I was in school, I didn't care about none of the stuff they were teaching. I didn't want to know about George Washington's wooden teeth. I didn't want to know about slave trading from Lincoln. I didn't want to know about none of that stuff. I was like, I want to be out there having fun and being on the grind and stuff like that. Espresso, thus gold, like God, It can only be possessed by him. So when dealing in the natural realm and the natural elements and the natural earth, yes, all this stuff is the creator's. And at the end of the day, all of it does go back to him. You know, just from the earth we were brought, and to the dust we shall return, right? That's how our natural bodies are, and that's how all that stuff is. It's all part of the earth and the natural realm. But it is temporary, right? Because you can't take gold with you to the next realm. You can't take it to the next life. You can't take it. I mean, to the best of my knowledge, you can't. If you can, you know what's wild, Gregory? Thank you so much for the lightning. Thank you again. Thank you so much for the lightning. I seen it up at the top before I saw it at the bottom for the gift. Your gifts will be used to help others. Thank you so much. I do appreciate all your donations. But yeah, so that the gold stuff for the natural realm, yeah, it can stay here, you know, but it can't come with us. And a lot of the Pharaoh's tombs who have been raided is proof of that. You know, they would spend all kinds of times and effort trying to be immortal and putting in these things to try to take into the afterlife, and then as soon as they die, they'd get robbed and looted because they ain't taking it with them, you know. That is what part of the spiritual body is about. If you learn about the rainbow body and you're able to make it through the 7th day walk into the 8th day and become perfect and become one with the Creator, then you actually translate away from this natural temporary light and realm, and you can go into the spiritual light and realm. The spiritual light is always here, but you can't see it with your natural eyes. Your third eye of unity, the one of high vibration, you can perceive some of this stuff with training. It just takes a little bit of time. But our natural two lights of division, they're divided for a reason. It's temporary light that is deceiving everybody. The sun with spots and blemishes that deceives the whole world, that is controlled by Lucifer, is the one that I'm talking about in the natural realm. There is a spiritual perfect light that is shining constantly too. And there's actually videos of you can watch that spiritual sun overtake the natural sun, and it creates an eclipse, and the moon will be right there up beside it. There's videos where that happens. The spiritual sun blocks out the light from the natural sun. That's the true sun, the true light taking over the temporary light, and it creates an eclipse, and the moon is still up there like beside it somewhere. And it's just not possible without there being three lights. And there is three lights. And I actually learned that on my walk on this journey of revealing stuff that I thought I know. That's why I say I know nothing. I'm just a student here along with all y'all. Black Swan. Yeah, I have not got through them all yet, but I found another way. Oh, did you? Cool, man. Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about some of that stuff. And what was wild about the audios is, and I remember him as I was listening to him, is he would give out sparse information occasionally, but you got to listen to 25 hours of stuff to get like 20 minutes of good juice on that certain topic. Almost all the stuff he talks about is gold, though. User 3360, that was a typo. You must have the spirit to understand what is going on around. Oh yes, you got to have the spirit. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry I misread that, or it was a typo. Yeah, you got to have that spirit. That spirit is number one, and it is so hard to try to tell anybody about it. And a lot of my mentors say, you start talking about money, you got everybody's ear. You got everybody and their mama at the table drooling. You start talking about spiritual stuff, everybody's out. They're gone. They're like, this ain't my party. I'm done. Drop the mic, whatever. But that's just the way it is, and that's why everything's established for a reason. And if you take the time, effort, knowledge, and seek and knock and search for truth, you can have the right path. It's just we're all in this together, and it takes time. And don't try to run before you can crawl and walk. And then once you're in a position to be able to help people after you secured your own, that's when you can start teaching and being able to help people. If that's your path, that's mine. My path is to try to help bring everybody enlightenment. I can show everybody the water and the rivers, but I can't make anybody drink, right? I am laying foundations that cannot be shaken. And if you want to build upon that, that is awesome. And I appreciate you for taking your time and effort to learn some of this stuff. All right, Espresso, the meeting upon the island. So you're talking about Jekyll Island, the audio's birth in the dark ceremonial format. Yeah, they got some creepy stuff going on with these satanic seances and stuff. It's always been around that way. they harness energy. It's all about frequency and vibration, and a lot of things are being pushed by spiritual entities that do not have the best intent for humans in mind, right? And you can tell a tree by its fruits. And what's cool about the Bible is, so above, so below, is they don't just talk about how there are powerful, righteous spirits. They talk about how there's powerful evil ones as well, right? So let's say you can tell a good tree by its good fruits. You can tell a bad tree by its bad fruits. You can even in Egypt when Moses was putting up his staff, he held up the serpent. The Pharaoh's priests and witches or whatever, they were doing the same thing that Moses was doing, but Moses' snake staff ate theirs. And it was just kind of like boom, you know what I'm saying? You want to do witchcraft, you want to do magic. Well, here's what my creator can do. His snake ate the other ones. But then later people want to worship graven images because they only care about natural temporary things. And then the snake ended up, I think biting them or something like that. I have to. It's just been so long. I used to know every word in that book, and I could recall it, and I would just have trouble with the numbers, being able. But all I have to do is search a little bit of the phrase, and I'm still like that now with the bulk majority. I'd say 90% of the Bible. The bulk majority of that Bible, I can pull up the words and remember the phrases. And I just look it up, and then it'll tell me the numbers, and then I'm good. Hey, what's up, Jerry? How you doing? Thanks for joining the live. Much appreciated. Black Swan, I swear it's all written in a trust, and in order for them to access it, they have to follow the rules. Yeah, as simple as that. That's how it all. Everything's in trust, but they don't tell people that. They don't tell people about the trust. Nobody knows that the U.S. citizen is a trust. Nobody knows that. And you can sit there and even fill out the forms, like life insurance. You're filling out for a beneficial or beneficiary if you die. That's a trust. It's all trust. Everything's in trust. That's why I tell you that trust is the spiritual high equity side of the triangle, right? But it is good to have a grasp, a foundation of the natural realm, the spiritual realm, and the commercial realm when you're talking about common law, equity, and admiralty. Like, it's good to have a good knowledge base between all land, air, and water and all that stuff, and fire. It's all kind of somewhat important. I was clearly summoned here by way of fate, it seems. Oh, it's awesome, Espresso. I'm glad you came here. If you check out my profile page, or you can DM me. I answer people's DMs all the time. You can spend time if you want to reach out to me. But I try to answer everybody and talk on a one-by-one basis and help everybody the best I can. All right, I'm sorry. I'm getting a little behind on questions. This is what I plan to do as well. Copper oxidation and gold is beautiful thing. It is. The copper spots look cool on coins. Heck yeah. Can you deposit your paycheck into your trust from your employer? The employer is already depositing it to your trust. They're giving it to the U.S. citizen. You can put the funds. So here's how it works. Now, again, the Federal Reserve Note was created by somebody else, okay? So, it's their property, and they get to dictate the rules. And if you want to create your own currency, you can dictate the rules, okay? So if you're going to deal in Federal Reserve Notes, you're dealing with somebody else's property. Now, that's step number one. Now, if your straw man receives a paycheck, and then the paycheck, you have paid the taxes on it because you're dealing in for-profit in a federal zone, once you've paid the straw man's taxes and you get those funds, then you can do whatever you want with them in the private, okay? That's how it works in the public system with that Federal Reserve Note, is after the straw man has received the paycheck and paid the taxes due, then they can take those funds and then they can donate it to charities, nonprofits. You can put it in corporation soul, and a corporation soul and a corporation soul, or two sovereigns can transfer unlimited funds without any banking liability or whatever. It just depends on what entity you put it in, and that's the same thing, the way it works with anything. If you don't hold true controlling title to whatever you're dealing with, then there's underlying strings and rules to the games that you're playing with. All right. The creditors, or I call them the ones who came before. Yes. The creators. Yes. So the creators, they're mentioned in the very beginning And like I said, I love if you're interested in spiritual stuff, I have spiritual videos that kind of explain what was revealed to me in the Bible's writing and teachings, how it's broken down in a 3-layer tier between nature, spirit, and commerce. There's natural definitions of noun, there's nouns, there's spiritual definitions, and you can actually do spiritual treasure hunting and be able to decipher a lot of what the Bible is saying. And it's pretty cool. Gregory, thanks again for the coins. I am very, very grateful for your gifts. They will be used to help others by promoting videos that TikTok sometimes suppresses. Well, sometimes, all the time they suppress. Exactly, but you can learn it from gold. Learn from gold. It has much to teach. Yes, there's so much you can learn. I agree 100% from all the metals. Platinum is a really good metal to deal with, and that's why a lot of people steal freaking catalytic converters from underneath the cars. Like, they'll hop under there with freaking a sawzall and just chop it off just to get like a little peck of some platinum, because platinum is a very highly valuable, and I think it's one of the most conductive, oddly enough, element, I believe, is graphene. And that's what they use in nanoparticles for ion atmospheric energy antenna gatherers. Is they use graphene oxide graphene carbon nanotubes, which is like, it's insane, right? I mean, they just like it's just wild. But anyway, I think graphene is like the most conductive element, but platinum is way up there too. Espresso, exactly, but you can learn. Yep. Black Swan, how familiar are you with credit derivatives attached to debt instruments? I am not a banker. I know what all those words mean to an extent, but not used in that manner. So credit derivatives attached to debt instruments. Yeah, I'd have to look that up, buddy. That's a little above my pay grade without Googling that. So we are talking. Oh, this thing, John. I'm too far behind. I gotta go back. I was gonna Google it. Let's see. All right, awareness. How do principles correlate with equity? That spirit. With equity, that spirit. How do principles correlate with equity? Oh, you're talking about like how is equity and spirit tied? The same reason John Bouvier said that equity is the spirit of the law. Okay, so like when you go before a judge, and this is what happened to me when I got sentenced. Right, the judge said, I have to sentence you to 3 years because he's bound by the law, because I didn't bring my own law in, and since I didn't bring my own law or invoke equity, he is bound by the laws of the basically, I would call it the commercial law, the International Commercial Law, UCC code, which all lawyers or all judges are trained in. So equity is case by case, spirit of the law. Basically, like in the Bible, it says when two women. This will give you an example. It said two women were arguing over a child that they both were claiming that the child was theirs. Okay, before the king. And they couldn't decide it. He didn't know what was going on. So the king said, all right, cut the child in half, and y'all each take half. And one of them said, oh, no, absolutely not. And the king said, that's the mother. That's equity. You're not going to find that in a law book. Okay, you will never see nothing. You will never see the millions of things that everybody goes through on a day-by-day basis in any book, because you are writing your own book every single second. Nothing told you what to put what color to wear this morning, when to brush your teeth. You are your own book, living in equity every single day. And when you try to bring in the written law to bind that, and that's why the law binds people the way it's set up, the way it is, because people want to be bound by the law. They want that comforting guidance of Big Daddy controlling everything that they do and say. Okay, that nobody wants to be responsible. That is the spirit. That is the substance. That is what I teach with the spiritual equity, because your spirit is actually not bound by this natural realm. It's not bound by the natural laws. Most people, and I mean 99.999, can't even see past the natural realm to even grasp what's going on in the spiritual realm. So the spirit is the true substance of equity of everything, but it is very important, like I said, because of balance, to understand how all three of the foundations in the triangle work and how it binds everybody or can set everybody free, because you have to be able to talk to people on a case-by-case basis and reach them on their own level, which is equity. And that's just kind of how it talks. Black Swan, I'm sorry I'm so far behind. I see your message. We can talk sometime. I still got to scroll back. All right, so thank you for the sharing of the live. Thank you for all the hearts, guys. I'm up to 4,000. Espresso Gold. Gold is the best teacher of money. It is. Gold is a very good. It is a good currency of exchange. But when you look at money, for instance, if you want a sandwich and a guy's got a sandwich and he doesn't want gold, your gold isn't money. Your gold is worthless to him, right? So it depends on the situation that you're dealing in, whether or not you could even call gold a medium of exchange. Whenever you're dealing with any type of currency, it is a medium of exchange that you can barter, trade, or deal with. But at the end of the day, it all depends on what the recipient or what you're trying to do or use it for. If the economy collapses and all you have is gold, people might not want that. Or maybe they will. They might try to take it from you. But if you're out there, you're trying to like buy food or buy stuff, people might not want gold. They might want a fish. They might want fishing rods. They might want cotton. They might want a blanket. That's why I love that movie to death. It used to be my favorite movie. I think kind of is still. It's called The Book of Eli. And The Book of Eli, it was after a big explosion or the sun melted everything or something, and it's this guy walking around and the money is bartering. It's bartering and trading exchange. But gold, I love gold to the depths of anything. It is a very powerful tool. But everything is a tool. Your body is a tool. Gold is a tool. The natural realm and the natural temporary things, everything is just a tool that you can use. And it is great to learn and study those things. But I do agree to an extent. May bank a river, cash flow of a river, etc. Yep, it's all about. There's a lot of admiralty terms that have been incorporated into our linguistics as far as the common law and equity are concerned. You're deeply connected with Hermes. That's interesting. Alchemy. Yeah, I've learned that you can turn. So I'm guessing you're very familiar with nanoparticles, gold nanoparticles. I believe it is. In God we trust. Yeah. Common. Are you on the private side? Common. I guess the way that A has a funky wiggle. I'm supposed to say law. Common law. Am I on the private side? My spirit is in the private side. My natural body is in the public. I can do commercial activities in both ways. It's neutral. So that's my answer to if I'm on the private is I am all. I am before, after, and during, like beginning and end, past, present, and future. I am all that. Follow the left. Thanks for the following. Notice how we can call the corporations entities. Yeah, absolutely. And we're the authorized representative. If you look on checks for the U.S. citizen who is a corpse iteration, they're all dead entities in the dead realm, but they can't do anything without humans, right? And guess what? The human can't do anything without a spirit, right? So at the end of the day, it's up there back in the spiritual realm, controls everything. So, all right, don't tread on me. What do you think about the whole 2.9 billion SSN hack? I didn't even hear about that. I've been so busy, I didn't even know that the Social Security was hacked. But I can tell you that the Social Security number is the linchpin turning the U.S. citizen into a federal personnel, and there's codes for that. And they also say that the way that the dashes are used is 100% important, and also we are considered minors unless you claim the equities that are in your security estate. Those are all codified. All right, Gregory, we appreciate all your time and knowledge. You share very important information. Yes, I appreciate it. I wish like TikTok wouldn't suppress and shadow ban me and block me. Like I wish I could go out to people, like the girl who's hot, right? I mean, she's pretty, and she goes, "You just have to tell the IRS you're a human," and you don't get text anymore. And she's just walking looking cute. Okay, boom, million people, right? And I'm out here I'm like, are you kidding me? Like she's getting ready to send 1 million people to jail. So I hop on here and try to help people, and I don't charge anything. If you want to donate, you can donate, but I give all of my own volition for free to try to help my brothers because y'all are me, and I don't want to charge me. So should you feel led to donate, please donate. If not, it's up to you. But I do everything for free all day long, and I try to get on here and battle a continuous battle of fighting misinformation because a lot of people hear a lot of this information and they want to run with it, and it's false. And it sounds good and it sounds easy, so it's got to be wrong, right? If it's easy, sounds good, it's most likely wrong because the true path is not easy. It just ain't easy, or everybody'd be doing it, right? Because again, we're electrical bags of water that like taking the path of least resistance. So that's how we're all kind of created. Our natural bodies are, we appreciate. So Black Swan Espresso, God conquer we must for our cause. It is just. Let it be our motto, and God is our trust. Yeah. Greetings, 50 Shades of Blue. How are you? Amazing. Graphene is used in the sea. Yes, it is. So I try not to say certain things because, it's weird. Half the time that I have been blocked or banned or kicked off lives from TikTok, it's because of stuff that I said that I can't believe that they banned me for. And then sometimes they'll ban me for no reason at all. And then sometimes I'll say stuff where I'm like, and they don't do anything. And it's just kind of like I don't know what I don't know what my handlers are doing. They're wild. Anyway, Black Swan, yeah, we can talk, man, anytime. So your handle is so. So if I just say so, it sounds like I'm like so. All right. Awareness. Does equity equal principle? So principles can be all kinds of things, right? They can be a person. It can be the purpose behind something. It can be the goal. It could be your principle. It could be your equity. I wouldn't say equals principle as far as like trying to sum it up in a math equation, because equity is like everything, right? So if you just try to equal it to just principle, it could be very confused. In a commercial term, could be used in that formula. I'd say yes, but yeah, I wouldn't just try to sum up equity and principle. If you read what John Bouvier said about it, it's the most beautiful thing ever, because it basically says anybody who looks at the law or looks at the law through the eyes of the written word is like blind. Basically, I'm summing up what he said. And if you look at justice through the eyes of the law, you're blind. If you look at justice through the eyes of equity, you can see. Okay, that's how he basically summed up equity. And trying to just say it's principle, it can work, absolutely, 100%. I guarantee you in certain situations. So, but you got to be careful when you're just trying to say laws or equity is just principle and that's it, because it's so much more than that. It's just kind of like saying your spirit is potatoes. It's like, I mean, I guess it could be if I dream about it. If you dream about potatoes, then your spirit's involved. You got potatoes. But it's just for that one instance. All right. Anyway, wait, what? Wait, what? Wait, what? Great work, dude. This is always inspiring and interdimensional every time I hear you. Awesome. Well, if you want to hear more, I can talk you to death, because this is like my 60th live, and I have posted all of them on YouTube, and I love YouTube because I will put a video out and they will send it out to 15 people. And out of those 15 people, I will get one view. And it's like, thanks, YouTube. You think TikTok is bad? Post some crap on YouTube. Now, granted, I'm not posting stuff where I'm just like scratching my rear end while smacking a cat, which is what 99% of the people want to watch. I'm actually putting out stuff that can change the world for better, and it's just suppressed because, it will change the corporate interest, which is greed, that's at the very top. And, some people that control all these platforms don't like that stuff. So it just is what it is. If I would have created TikTok, I would allow me to speak, but I didn't. So I am playing in someone else's backyard, and I have to abide by the rules. And it's just like, this is a micro example of the entire economy or any other game that you're going to play in. You have to understand the rules of the games that you're playing in. All right, so 50 Shades, I was watching your videos and you put things into easy perspective. I am glad that I can help. I try my best to do that. Sometimes I put out a little too much information, but it's there so you can watch it over and over again. You can take notes, and you can also reach out and DM me if you need additional help. Toilet paper, Mike Swigger. All right, thanks for your what is it called when you're edifying? Thanks for your edification towards this live with toilet paper. Jimmy B, Philosopher's Stone, Black Swan. The private side is truly in your mind. Absolutely, 100%. Gemini, control everything, own nothing. Yes, that's right. That is what the basically one of the controllers of the natural realm's huge corporations, which is commercial and a dead entity thing. That's what he said, right? Control everything, own nothing. Because controlling title, and that's what happens when you get a certificate of car title, right? It's 9/10 is the possession is 9/10, but the other tenth is called controlling title. And if you don't have that 1/10, That's the real thing, that controlling title. The 9/10ths, yeah, you can do almost anything you want in that car, but that 1/10, that controlling title, they can dictate if you wear seatbelts, pay taxes, drive, on and on and on. So, yeah, that's one of those things. Espresso, Alpha and Omega, absolutely. Black Swan, amen. Rebecca Monroe, is there somewhere we can go to see who used our SSN? I've heard you can use some of the fidelity stuff, or used to be able to, but I will also tell you that the Social Security number is the public side of a two-sided stone. Okay, if you flip over the card, that's the private side. The back side of commercial instruments is the private side. They typically red is private, which is substance, blood, and the colors do mean things, believe it or not. When you're dealing in banks, they want you sign in blue ink. That's admiralty. Purple is royalty. Gold is gold. Silver is silver. Silver is the common law way back to reality. That's what they showed us in The Wizard of Oz. But yeah, so to see who used your Social Security number, I think you can do an audit of any company if they're. But typically, what happens is any company that is using your Social Security number, you either granted them permission to, or they are bound by federal rules and practices and guidelines, like general accounting practices, that they have to abide by. Typically, a corporation is not doing illegal stuff because they're controlled by DC, and they have to abide by the rules that their controllers dictate. 50 Shades, how do you claim your securities or take out a minor status? Haven't finished watching your. Yeah, so I'll eventually get to some of that. I don't explain but so much in the public on these videos. I'm just kind of like these gold hooks. I'm fishing of men. I'm a fisher of men. I'm fishing for and women. I'm fishing to see if people are interested or want to be enlightened or want to dance or want to be able to be elevated to higher vibrational frequencies and learn some of this stuff. But it's the claiming of your securities is outlined in my discharging debt video. You have to scroll down on my profile page, and it has the rough estimate of what is needed. Or you can go through a banking agent, which you have to do either way. If you're going private or public, you have to use a banking agent, and it's set up that way through Congress in order to be able to deal with Federal Reserve notes or federal digits that are on screens. But yeah, there's a lot of videos. I know it can be overwhelming, but if you watch all the playlists, it should help out a lot. Gemini, I've been absent from social media for a while, trying to circle the wagons. Yeah, I took a little break too. I was out with my girl in Puerto Rico, and just kind of took a step away, and it was great to have a little breather. Espresso, very undervalued. Also, Espresso God, okay, y'all are talking about Gemini. 33 is a fascinating number. It is. It's something about vibrating. If you read the 33rd verse in the Bible or something, and Masons are always dealing in the 33rd. And then I think what's his name was a 97th degree because he broke down the mathematical formula in all languages or something like that. David Wynn Miller. David Wynn Miller is amazing. Like he there's a reason why he's not around. I don't know what happened, but yeah, he broke down that basically all contracts are not written properly and all kinds of things. Like very, very smart guy. Once they control the mind, it's game over. Yes, Espresso 100. Yep, it's all about our minds. Monroe, all right, y'all are talking to each other. Sorry, because I'm not here. Anytime I'm in a casino, I read the numbers numerologically. Yeah, this man is very knowledgeable. Thank you. Hey, thanks for posting a lot of my stuff on Instagram. I'm not a big Instagram user, or AKA Metaverse or whoever owns that crap. But Gemini. Eon on YouTube got some great videos claiming the minor state. Yeah, so somebody sent me about Eon, and it was, it's an hour long, and it's like I barely have time to even come on here for an hour to give, the best that I can for all of y'all. And then when I do have a little bit of free time, I usually just want to watch a movie or, something else, or I'm chilling with my girl. I got kids, I got properties I manage, on and on and on. I appreciate everybody. So I'm at the bottom. What's your take on the get your status corrected or the 3 INs to apply? That's garbage. The pass that I talk about is called status and standing, and I have videos on all that. Status is what you want to claim in this realm, in this reality, to be recognized as, and status is your ability to enforce that. And I have videos on it, and I have information on my website under Commerce ID Status and Standing that you can check out as well. Guys, this video will be on YouTube. The audio will be on my Telegram group. I have exclusive content on all these things. You can check out all my social media links on my website, which is linked on my profile page of TikTok. Feel free to browse all that auxiliary information, or you can watch my Foundation, Nature, Spirit, and Commerce videos, which will help re-educate you and enlighten you in all kinds of ways. And I appreciate everybody for coming out on this Friday. I'm about to wrap up because I only got a couple more questions and I got to go. Reach out to me soon with some questions. Absolutely, feel free to reach out, Global. Did the bank take the gold to open the trust account? I didn't know the bank could deal with gold. Banks can like store gold in vaults, but the banks have to be backed by some commodity within the next 3 years. Like, it's called Basel IV compliance. But yes, I know of gematria. I do know about numbers. I just never really studied it a lot. I'm not a big fan of numbers. Like in the Bible, the numbers are putting in random man's created or thought of ways. Like they put them in the middle of paragraphs, they put them in, and it confuses a lot of people. That's why I didn't study the numbers. I studied all the words, and even the words are somewhat when they're transliterated, lose a little bit of substance. So luckily, divinely, I was given a lot of inspiration and knowledge to be able to unlock the Bible and to be able to teach a lot of y'all some of the stuff. So. All right, Gemini, what's it like in Puerto Rico? Cost of living and such. Honestly, it's a lot more expensive. Everything's tripled since the OVID, release, and it's still a little bit cheaper, but they do the same thing everywhere. When you go to tourist traps, they try to charge you the maximum amount, and it just is what it is. And then, but I will tell you, it is one of the most beautiful islands I've ever been in. Jamaica was very beautiful, but Puerto Rico have beaches. The most beautiful beaches with nobody around them, nobody at them. They have beaches, they have deserts, they have rainforests, they have it's just insane how beautiful. They have these huge land crabs that are as big as cats, and I ran over one of them on accident. I was looking over here, and my girl was like, crab, and it was like, boom, boom, and the whole car went up because these freaking land crabs are as big as cats. Just walking around, like they look like they're gonna steal your catalytic converter from off your car. Like that's how big they are. They look like they got tattoos and stuff. I mean, these things are huge. But anyway, yeah, Puerto Rico is really, it's really amazing. I really am going to enjoy going to it a little more. Everybody, thank you for the follow and the shares and the likes and the gifts and all that. I appreciate y'all. I hope y'all enjoy your Friday. If you want a recap of this video, it will be on YouTube and the audio will be on my Telegram group. I want to wish all of y'all a great weekend. I appreciate all you for coming on here and being enlightened. I love y'all. I appreciate being one with y'all and helping reflections of myself. So I hope y'all continue your journey as a path of enlightenment. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or want to further any informational paths. So, guys, I'm signing off. Thanks for everything. Cup of coffee with Cha Rules. Good night.